Well, it's not often in the author's studio we get two authors for the price of one. I'd like to welcome my dual personality friend, Martyn Waits and Tanya Carver. Martyn is a great writer in his own name, and his alter ego, Tanya Carver, is a high concept British female detective. I think you're going to find him a lot of fun.
Read a lot. Read and read and read a lot. Everybody's probably said that, but it's true. You can't be a writer unless you're a reader. Well, you're always not supposed to have favourites. Everybody always says, it's like children. But having said that, if I had to pick one, this would be the one that went to university. It's Born Under Punches, which is a crime novel all about the repercussions of the miners' strike in the 80s and then set 20 years afterwards. That's the one. That's the one that wins awards. That's the one has won awards. So that's the one I'm most proud of. As little as possible, really, and unless I'm actually forced to do it. I've got an office at home, which is, like everybody's got a man cave, apart from women writers who obviously have a women cave, and it's both. Just interesting. No, because I have been writing as Tanya Carver. My last 8 books have been as Tanya, and all the other ones have been Martyn. But it's it's my little room. I like it. It's got all my music in. It's got all my favourite books. It's got my Doctor Who figure collection. I really should edit this before I speak, shouldn't I? And my comics. Oh God, I'm digging a grave here. And so that's my little. It's got all my little things that I love in there. So that's where I work. Well, when I started writing, the only thing that I really liked was American crime fiction. I mean, the book that really kind of flung the windows open was Farewell, My Lovely by Raymond Chandler. And I picked up a copy at a book fair, 20p copy of the old Penguin green and white version. And I just thought, God, that looks lovely. And I read it and I just thought, my God, this is great. This is what you can do. So I read all of his others. I read Hammett, I read James M. Cain, Ross MacDonald. And then at the time when I started writing or seriously thinking about writing, there was a whole new wave of American crime fiction, which was then contemporary James Lee Burke, James Elroy, James Crumley, some others who weren't called James. And, I just picked up on that and I thought, my God, this is what you can do. This is exciting. This is connected. I can see the world that I live in these books. So I thought that, why don't I do that in Britain? Why don't I just transfer all that over to Britain? And I had that idea at the same time as I think every other writer of my peer group in my generation had. So, there was kind of a sort of blossoming about 5 years later in Britain as well of the same kind of writing. And long may it continue. Oh, do you know what? I don't think I have guilty pleasures. It always used to be that I'm a massive comics fan and Doctor Who fan. But since those things became socially acceptable, which, 12-year-old me never, ever, ever thought that would happen, it's all of my guilty pleasures have gone so mainstream now that I'm struggling. I don't think I have any, because I also think that pleasure is something that you should cherish and take ownership of it. And I don't think you should feel guilty for enjoying the things that you do enjoy. Yeah, Pac-Man. I have to have at least 3 games of Pac-Man and I have to get over a certain amount before I can start work, which is a great excuse to just sit there and do nothing. But I do know that, I'm focused if I can get a certain, if I'm up to about, is it 1,000, 100,000, something like that, then I'm ready to go. I think you start off with, I start off with an idea or a couple of ideas or an image and an idea. And it's something that asks me a question. And then I think, why is that happening? How is that happening? Who is that happening with or to or why? And then the book itself is a kind of exploration towards the answer of that. So that's really how I'd started. And I always try and have a title. Before I start a book, I'll try and have a title in mind so that kind of creates its own world, its own feeling, that you can start from that. I've never been able to start kind of untitled Martyn Waits novel number 12 or something, or So it's always, it needs focus. It needs that bit to guide me in. The only one that I do really kind of hate being asked is, but I don't really actually hate it anymore. I think I just preempt it now. Is that as writing as Tanya Carver, I've been writing as a woman for the last 8 novels. And one of the first questions that I always get asked whenever I do a Q&A, I can talk for an hour, and then suddenly open up the question, somebody always asks, do you dress up to write? And so I just preempt it now by saying, no, I don't dress up, which gets a laugh and gets it out of the way, and someone will still ask afterwards, but do you really dress up to write? The answer's no, by the way. God, yes. I remember it was on a Friday afternoon, and this was Bone Under Punches, the book of mine that had gone on to university, and I'd just written the pivotal section in the middle that everything revolved around. And I remember, and I kind of was closing the computer up thinking, I can't top that. I have to stop now. It was about 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and I thought, I've really earned a night off, a weekend off, because this is so, I really, really can't top this. And I pressed save, and I noticed something appeared on the screen that wasn't saving it. But then I closed it down. I thought, I've lost it. I've lost it. I went, and I punched walls. I went next door because the guy next door worked with computers, and he said, no, mate, you've lost it. And so the only thing I had some notes, and it was about 20 pages. And I just dragged the notes out of the bin again, and I started from the top. And I sat there all night and didn't stop till I finished. And I think what I wrote actually was better than what I'd written at first. But it's not something that I'd ever want to go through again. I'd be happy with second best rather than doing that. Well, no, I used to be an actor. Before I started writing, I trained as an actor. And but I think in hindsight, I had always wanted to write. When I was younger, I think I wanted to draw comics, and my artistry isn't good enough. So I kind of settled for writing. I'm still available to write comics, should anybody be listening and watching this. But I mean, I'm settling for writing crime novels instead. That's a good happy medium.
Well, that was the great Tanya Carver, or was it Martyn Waits? Stay tuned for lots more fascinating interviews.